Okay, here we have a Optimus 45 discus tanked stove operating with a Optimus 209 burner with its proper cap set. This is burning alcohol. It's full tilt right now. You can see that slight bit of surge. It's actually showing up more on the video than it does here in real life, because of the way the color is selected apparently by the video, I would guess. The surge is normal because of the alcohol. There is a wire mesh roll inserted into the base of this 209 burner that it acts as a surge arrestor. Alcohol being a room temperature, or in fact below room temperature, vaporizing fuel, it tends to want to vaporize very easily and readily. It doesn't take a lot of heat in the burner to do so, and it does tend to do in little bursts. That's what the surge is about, but that's neither here nor there because we're here for another reason. This is a properly operating stove, cranking it down to a low simmer. That slight popping sound you hear is a little bit of leakage around the base of the cap, because of course they're just setting on there. This one of course is snapped. It's got a pair of tabs that lock in, and we'll take a look at that in a moment. But here's our simmer, and there's our full. I could probably pump a little more in here, air in here, and get a more robust flame. There we go. And that's about that. If I open it all the way, the cleaning needle comes out. Yeah, cleaning needle is now in the jet, and as I close it down, the cleaning needle moves out of the orifice of the jet. And here's our stove operating again. This is somewhat in darkened conditions, so you can see the flame. A properly operating Optimus 209 burner. Okay, here I've put some lights on so you can see a little better. This is our 209 burner. A 209 burner is very obviously identified by this pattern inside of it. Okay, this is a 209, and this is not a 4047 or any of those other burners. This is clearly a 209, and in respect to the questions that are going on about this burner at the current time. This is in fact a 209, and the user who has the questions has a 209. Now these are the natural, this is the actual outer cap. You can see the outer cap has tabs. These tabs fit in to these slots right here and here. And it'll snap in place and be held there so it doesn't bounce around. This is the inner cap assembly. It's formed by an inner cap that looks like this. I've actually found these inner caps on some Optimus 111 stoves, these same inner caps, and I suspect that at one time that's where they found their use, perhaps, but I can't prove that. The other part is the air tube. This is the air tube. It's a tapered tube, or actually an angled plate attached to what I call a spigot tube. It fits into the center of the inner cap, like so. Alright? It's going to set down here, and because of the tight fit, when I put the inner cap on here, it will cradle the inner cap and air tube assembly perfectly and keep it all aligned inside. You can see when I drop it down here inside the cap, it actually is a snug fit inside the outer cap, and it won't come out. Alright. Yeah, there we go. Alright, now there is this unfounded rumor created by someone on a discussion forum that in the past, not recently, but in the past, someone theorized, oh, well, you know, if this thing here has to be kept so it can go up and down inside the stove. And I'm like, I'm mystified with that statement. There is no mechanical structure inside here to make this go up and down. That's absurd. You would think, well, this plate covers these holes, but in fact it doesn't. If you take a look, there are 3 detents, or small dents if you rather, here, here, and another one over here. They are in the rim of this plate. What it means is that the plate, when it sets on the inner cap, there's a slight air gap all the way around here. All the way around. And when this sets down inside the burner, you can see this, it's going to set like that. There are 4 holes here. So how does that work? Well, first of all, one other thing you need to know is that the tube, the spigot tube that's attached to our plate of our air tube here, does not go down all the way. It sets a few millimeters above the bottom of the inside of the burner. So there's several different paths for air to go through here. When in place, there is going to be air that is sucked through these holes, and it's going to be sucked by the jet of vapor going up into the spigot tube, and it's going to be sucked through these holes, and it's going to mix the air in here, and it's going to come out through here, through the top. Then as it cascades around, held in place by the outer cap, can't go anywhere, so held in place by the outer cap, the vapor and air mixture are going to go sliding past this little air gap here, which creates a slight Venturi effect and draws more air through these holes for a little bit of additional air. So we have 2 air paths. One air path is through these holes and through the bottom of the tube. The other air path is through these holes, up through those holes inside the inner cap, and around that plate, around the outside of the cap, the inside of the inner cap, and then into our holes. It's just a way of controlling how much air your stove gets. Now, if you've wanted to richen up your mixture, have more vapor, fuel vapor, and less air, you could flatten these detents out. If you needed a stronger amount of air mixed in, you could peen down these detents and increase how much that sets up and increase the air slightly. With alcohol stoves, it doesn't take a lot of air to work to make a difference in how much you've got going. Now, anyway, that's my explanation for why it is. But my God, there's no way this is going to go up and down. That's ridiculous. It weighs a ½ ounce or 14 grams. And that vapor path is not going to support this plate and make it move up and down. That's absurd. All right, so to snap it in place, we snap it in place, and now it's going to hold everything there, and there you are. Now, next step. Okay, had to think about what I wanted to do there. Sorry. All right, so I'm going to show you something else. This is a standard Primus Inner Cap. And to dispel the notion that this thing goes up and down somehow, what a ridiculous idea. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to just use a standard cap. And I'm going to put this in here, and we're going to make our stove work just fine. Not as good as with the other caps, but certainly acceptably well. Put some alcohol in the preheat pan, and whoops, I spilled some, my bad. And preheat our burner. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn the lights in this half of the lab down so that you can see the flame better. And I'm going to add a little bit of air to the tank too by pumping. And let's see if there's anything else I can say. Oh, okay. So if you're not familiar with the Venturi effect that I was describing around the outside of that inner cap, through that small gap between the air tube and its plate and the inner cap, if you're not familiar with the Venturi principle, you can look it up in Google. It's Venturi, Venturi. Venturi is an Italian guy, I believe. He had these theories about fluid flow. What is a Venturi in your life that you can maybe relate to? If you've ever used a garden sprayer that hangs beneath your garden hose and the water sprays out the garden hose, but it also creates a suction out of that little plastic bottle that hangs off your garden hose and sucks out insecticide or fertilizer or whatever else, that's using the Venturi principle. It's the same idea. Fluid passing an orifice will create a partial vacuum, and the fluid inside that bottle on your garden hose comes out. In the case of our burner, the fluid, being air, out here will go up and then through that little air gap I showed you and provide a little bit more air than it might otherwise have, and give you the ability to adjust it by peening or slightly bending the plate on your inner plate. But is it necessary? Well, no, the burners actually work fairly well without the original equipment. As you saw, I put a regular Primus unhold cap in here for an inner cap. We're going to take a look at how this looks here. Okay, our preheat flame has died away completely. Always important. Preheat flame dies away completely. And here's our burner operating. Here's our burner operating. Now you notice it's a little bit more yellow. Well, that's because the mixture is not quite as ideal as it was with the actual caps you're supposed to use. So we're getting a little bit of, I'd say, richness perhaps. We might be getting a little more heating going on inside the cap, which is contributing to our yellow flame. But clearly it works just fine without any sort of little weird things going up and down and all that other stuff. That's just silly. Okay, here's our simmer. Again, a little more yellow. We have a different mix. And all the way up to our full-on flame. If you watch for a while, you'll actually see that yellow start to go away. I think what we have here is an overheating issue, which may be part of the reason that the air tube has those detents as well. That's a secondary feature that acts to cool the inside of the cap. You can see that flame is bluing up now as we have more fuel-air mixture through the cap to cool the cap and cool that top of the burner. Now we're going to go all the way out to our cleaning needle just to show it's there. There's the cleaning needle as I turn to that counterclockwise direction. As I go clockwise again, we'll remove the cleaning needle from the orifice. And there is our burner operating correctly. So, ideally, the caps you want to get for your inner involve the inner with the holes and the air tube. I have some of these in stock. If some of you are needing them, you can contact me for this style inner cap. And I can manufacture this inner air tube. And I'm not trying to make money here, but if you think it would help you, that would be fine. Also, if you're a person that has an alcohol 209 burner or any of the other alcohol burners, I'm completely fluent in that language. So, you're welcome to contact me for more information. That's the story behind the 209. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Oops, one last point I meant to mention. When you have people who are having problems with alcohol burning stoves, one of the questions you have to ask people is, did they make sure they put that wire mesh screening in the base of the burner? That's important because it controls surging and can control the burning characteristics. This burner, which has now been restored to its actual correct inner cap, is just burning just fine. And the other thing that you have to ask folks who are having problems with these, are they attempting to use pure methanol in their burners? And the answer is always, when I find that somebody's using pure methanol, is that they're having problems, because these weren't really designed to be driven by pure methanol. And what they're designed to be run on is ethanol, or a combination of methanol and ethanol. And this would be one product that you can buy commonly, at least here in the United States, denatured alcohol. This is one brand. There's another brand that's common. It's called Sunnyside. They also make new eco-friendly brands that are almost all ethanol, and they cost a little bit more. I suggest that if you're having problems with your stove operating correctly, and it's not operator error, which it often is, that you check your fuel and make sure you're using a blend of ethanol or methanol and methanol, or a almost all ethanol product. You'll find that they'll just burn better, and they'll operate more consistently and with better results if you do so. Now, that's that. Please don't use pure methanol in stoves. It's not good for you. It's not good for the environment. And it just won't work as well. End of story. Thanks a lot. Bye.